One second.
All right, guys, we are live. Got Kaz here, and it looks like the
Sorry. Um,
contestants are starting the bidding. All right, just blast out to Discord quick. Everybody knows we're live. First bid on the board is Crimea Engineering.
so engineering is going last here?
Yeah, because you've got Polania Industrial going first, then Nordic followed by Rusviet, ending with Crimea.
But it should still be the fastest board by a fair amount, I think. Not overly familiar with it, to be honest.
So you can play Crimea Engineering a few different ways. You can play it in such a way, let's see, this is Group J, and this is round 4, right? Yeah, I need to update the name of the stream. Said round 233, Group I, for some reason. So yeah, Crimea Engineering can play really quickly. It can end in 14 rounds or 13 rounds with the factory card or the right of encounter. But there's a longer route you can play where you build buildings, you amass popularity, and you just try to drive up the score. The Rusviet Patriotic, of course, is a little bit slow, but can be a really strong combination if the game goes long enough. Polania Industrial is one you really have to watch out for if it gets lucky. It can just take over a game. What would be your strategy here if you were bidding in this game, Kaz?
So I'd first look at Crimea, Polania or Nordic, see if they end up going way too cheap. Especially because I think Polania can relatively threaten Crimea a little bit. Otherwise, Rusviet's going to have a decent engine by like turn 17 when it wants to end, and
yeah, so Polania's can go the route where it builds buildings, moves and drops the buildings around. It's wood from encounters. It can be a little bit tough to get in lists, I find, with Polania Industrial, which can hold a combination back a little bit. The thing about Crimea Engineering is it does not make a lot of coin early, and it doesn't get going for a little while. I feel like if you rush with Crimea Engineering, you can get ahead of Rusviet Patriotic, but you've got to get opportunistic combats really quickly, or Rusviet's just going to move and take over the board with Relentless. So you've got Polania Industrial, which is probably not going to be a high-powered combination. Not going to have a lot of power, right? Nordic Militant is probably also not going to have a lot of power. And Crimea Engineering is not going to have a lot of power unless it builds buildings because the bolster is over the build. So Rusviet Patriotic is going to have its combats. I think the question is, has somebody dominated the board and spread out over the board before Rusviet Patriotic leaves the base in such a way that Rusviet can't make their bid, whatever it ends up being? And I think
Right.
that Crimea Engineering could do that. I think Polania Industrial could do that. I think Nordic Militant just wants to make enough coins that even with a moderate amount of spread, that Rustviet can't make their bid anymore. But the player is certainly considering Nordic Militant to be the worst combination in this group.
Makes sense because it's slow and has a strictly worse game than Rustviet.
See here.
But in certain ways, Nordic Militant has the next best combats.
Next best
And Rustviet was
combats?
going to get its combat. What?
Next best combats?
After Rustviet, because they have artillery against two very low power combinations.
That's true. Might not help
And
you a lot against Rustviet, but yeah, you could definitely artillery Polania. You've got potentially Scout to contend with, depending on if Crimea goes 2 max or 4 max. That's a good point about artillery. Let's see, we've got Rustviet Patriotic up to 7 now. Crimea Engineering still hanging at 4. And Axel's been sitting on Polania Industrial for a while at 0. So what's the... I mean, I think the people bidding are right. I think Rustviet Patriotic is the best combination on the board. I'm not sure it's the best by a whole lot. Crimea Engineering has a tremendous engine if it can go undisturbed. But I'm not sure that Polania is going to let Crimea... I'm not sure Polania will leave Crimea alone and do its thing. Because if Crimea is going to get into tier 2 and going to amass power, it's got to get wood. And it doesn't have a place it can get wood without making itself exposed on the board. But let's see. It's been Prince Ali's turn for a little bit. Is it possible he's thinking of ending it?
Possible, yes, but that would be very weird to me.
There we go. He takes Rustviet Patriotic for 8. Your mic is a little bit of harshness on your mic. If you can back away from it a little bit, I can probably turn you up to compensate for it.
This better?
Little bit more actually. All right, we got Crimea Engineering up to 6. Hanging pretty close there with Rustviet Patriotic. Oh, Polania Industrial now up to 1, 2. Axel wants to play Polania. How high do these combinations need to go before you think about pulling the plug on Nordic Militant there?
So, for me, Nordic Militant's price is all about what Rustviet is, because in both cases, you need the game to go long.
Right.
And I don't think you can beat Rustviet long unless their bid is like 14, 15.
Yeah, that would... A 0...
I don't...
Thing about Nordic Militant, I mean, by the time the game's over and you're around, 14 to 16, you could be sitting on 30 plus coins. And
right.
I mean, that plus your territory is a 15 bid at that point for Rustviet. That gets kind of difficult to overcome.
The other thing is I don't know how the bid actually gets there, though, because you have two combinations that are outright faster than Rustviet, that can end the game if Rustviet's bid is too high.
Yeah. So I think Polani Industrial is a good bid in this game. Hey, Evil Tim, how's it going? Thanks for jumping in and watching. Polani Industrial, I've seen it just do so well in tournaments before. But it also can just kind of stall out. So I'm a little bit surprised to see it as close to Crimea Engineering as it is. Because Crimea Engineering can be a little bit slow, but I don't think it's... You're really rolling the dice with Polani Industrial to play it in a straight-up game against Crimea Engineering. And now you're 7 coins over Nordic Militant. Oh gosh. I don't know about this, Kaz.
Yeah, that's... Well, now I think it's time to bid on Rustviet again.
Right, I mean, I think Rustviet beats these two in a straight-up game. I mean, with the right encounters, Polania can beat Rustviet in a straight-up game here. And you have to adjust your gameplay a little bit as Rustviet with Polania in the game. You've got to either move that character down to that mountain or do something else to adjust for that, like getting more workers on metal so that that second mech comes out quickly enough. Because if Polani is able to get a couple mechs out quickly and steal your metal, these games are just too competitive to recover from that. That's it.
Right.
That's it. All right, we have our bid. All right. We will
It is
get
very
these
weird
numbers on the
to
screen
see
here.
Polania with no margin on Crimea whatsoever.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, it's funny. The last I covered the last game Axel played, and everybody, including us covering the game, were convinced he waited. I mean, he got Albion Engineering for 0, right? But we were all convinced he should have waited longer to take it.
This was the one where he had like the 3 coin margin?
He, even without the bids, he won. It
Right.
was a straight up win. It was an amazing game, an amazing performance by his part, but the bidding was questionable to say the least. And I still maintain that it was questionable, but he made it work. So even though I think Polani Industrial's high in this game, I'm not going to count Axel out. You get the right encounters, you have a little bit of luck, and you can Polani Industrial can end the game in 12 or 13 rounds.
Oh wow, that's actually much faster than I thought.
You have to get lucky. A lot of things have to go your way for it to go that quickly. But I know I've personally done 13 and I think I've seen 12. But that's not very often. But there was a game in the last tournament where Danky Nugs took Polani Industrial, and I think Joy Division had Crimea Militant. And of course, guys, we're just hanging out in the lobby here, waiting for this spectate right here to light up and give us a chance to watch the game. And by the time Crimea moved out of the base, Polania had just covered the entire board and was on pace to 6 stars. So that's what I think Polania needs. Polania needs to move out of the base quickly. They need to establish an engine quickly. They need to get encounters. Because you're contending with Rustviet. If this game goes long enough, Rustviet will win. I don't think in a long game you can beat Rustviet Patriotic. The possible exception being Nordic, right? If they can just get enough
Right.
coins and start to get spread. So who do you see playing for tier 2 this game, if anybody?
I could see Polania doing it actually, in part because Axel tends to like to build, and in part because if you go buildings as your second bottom row action star rather than in lists, you're also screwing with Crimea a little bit.
Yeah. Especially if you, looks like we've got made a different game. Norman holograms in his own game. Axel seems to have the other 3 players in his. Yeah, there we go. All 4 of them in one game now. So it should just be a minute while they're selecting their factions before we get going. So just off the bids alone.
Off the bids alone, I like Ruspiet.
Yeah. I would say Rustfiat or I don't like. I would say Rustfiat and my dark horse might be Nordic, just off the bids alone, to tell you the truth. Because that coin advantage can be pretty dramatic. The tough thing about being Nordic is, I mean, the nice thing is Saxony's not in the game, right? I mean, that's definitely true.
Yeah.
But with Polania in the game, Albion and Rustfiat in the game, Albion's territory is really the only place you have to spread out to without having to challenge the other factions for the center of the board. And it's Nordic Militant can always be a really awkward faction to play with. It's always interesting to see, and here we go, we're spectating now. It's always interesting to see how people decide to play Nordic Militant to me. Of course, Polania Industrial going first, Crimea Engineering going last. Straight up game between Crimea and Polania. Rustfiat only having to clear 2 coins. I mean, Rustfiat and Nordic, I think, are in the best position at the start of this game. So if you were Crimea, are you going to try to stall this game and build? Or are you going to just get out your mechs, your enlists, and try to end in turn 14 before Rustfiat's out of the base? What's your strategy here?
I think I'm going for a turn 14 win.
Yeah. I think you need that, right? You need your spread to win you the game before Nordic's coin just becomes insurmountable and before Rustfiat can start moving around the board.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you had like tier 3, but I don't think you have time for that.
Let's see. Nordic's first move is going to tell us something about what they. Because what I like to do is Nordic. Okay, I did not expect that. I never play toward the Rustfiat side of the board if I don't have to. In all honesty. But we see a move out of Nordic right away, challenging Rustfiat on that East Village.
I know Vienna has an opening that involves, I think, getting artillery mech first and threatening Rusty a little bit. But with Patriotic, I don't even know how you do that because they already have 5 power by the time they get their first mech.
Yeah, and it's some strategies like that are better in games that aren't bid games. Because if this is a straight up game and you're Nordic Militant against Rusviet Patriotic, and you're not playing a bid game, you're just playing a ranked random, I mean, you've got to do something, right? You've got to try to shake up the game and slow Rusviet down. But this is a bid game, right? If you did a good job bidding, you should be on even footing with Rusviet Patriotic. So is playing to the right and going with artillery your best shot here? No move for metal early for Nordic, going with a produce action, dropping a wood on the ground. Polani, of course, electing to trade for 2 metal just a moment ago. I can't wait to see what this first encounter is from Polania, because it is going to set the pace for this game.
Yes.
In my opinion, this encounter from Polania is the single most important thing that's going to happen in the first 6 turns in this game.
Wow.
But he doesn't move.
Curious.
He doesn't move.
Okay, so he is getting at least 1 building then.
Yeah, maybe setting himself up for a mine. We might see a trade for 2 wood. Nordic also looking like he's going to go for at least 1 building. I mean, Nordic can produce next turn and go for a building. Yeah, I agree. Not a lot of coin in the buildings. When the militant board's strength really is coin in many ways. Got a 8 worker strat out of Rusviet and Patriotic, which tells you that put your followers, primes, and views. Okay. This is a spam. How do I... Alright guys, give me just a second here.
Okay, so it's trade from Plania, produce for Nordic.
Alright, I see what Polani is doing here. The next produce is going to give them a mech and the third wood, which allows them to move to the encounter and build a mine in all likelihood. Having their speed mech set up. The mine speed mech start is quick with Polania. The thing I don't like about it is that before you're going to need the submerge mech anyway, before you can get a lot of encounters. And you don't have to worry about being knocked back to home base in this game, but if Saxony's in the game and you get sent home off that village encounter before getting to the factory, it's absolutely devastating.
Wonder if he just goes Riverwalk. He can invade both. He can still invade both Nordic and Crimea that way.
You know, I have seen some successful Polani industrial strategies that involve Riverwalk. And there's no Saxony in the game. What is this? We got a mine on this wood space. What is the building bonus? It's farms and tundras. Got a mine on the wood space, not a mill. Got Rusviet trading for 2 metal, setting themselves up to make their first mech. We haven't talked much about Crimea. Crimea at following a pretty standard opening here. 3 produces, gets them to the worker star and sets them up for that with that first mech. And there's the produce out of Polania like we thought. And you were right, Riverwalk.
Okay. very curious what Nordic does here because I so far
Oh, this is a great encounter for Nordic. You can pay this $2 for this metal and drop a mech on the board.
yeah.
I mean, that's great, and the extra metal means a trade for metal lets you make your next mech.
Gain a mech, a coin, and a medal.
Where does this mech go? You'd think on the village, right? And it's the speed mech. I'm just intrigued by the moving to the oil. You don't usually see a lot of upgrades with the militant board. It doesn't give any coins. It's expensive.
I'm not sure if it was to upgrade as much as if they're doing one more produce, they're getting their workers anyway, so they might as well spread with the move they have to do anyway. But
you could move to the farm and get a singular food. You were going to do that?
That is true.
And set yourself up for an enlist. All right, it's not until turn 6, but now we're going to see what this encounter is for Melania. Okay, this is intriguing because they can pay the 2 popularity to build a structure and then use the wood to build a second structure, and that's what they're going to do. And the food, I don't know if he wants the food. Maybe he does. But is he going to go for 3 bottom row action stars? Because with
Probably not.
With
but
2,
you can get the value in list anyway.
Yeah.
Just trade
true.
for 2 wood.
Yeah, because we're probably going to see... If I had to guess, we're going to see... Ooh, armory. You think a mill on this wood space?
That's what it's looking like at this point.
He does take the food, looks like. Anybody's game at the moment. It's kind of too early for the score to mean a whole lot.
Let's see. 2 produces on the metal is 8, so he's short 1. But then he only needs to move 3 back for a worker, and the mill gives him 3 produce tiles anyway, so he doesn't need any more metal this game. Or he doesn't need to trade for 2 metal anyway.
Right. Because you're thinking he's just going to do the 1 enlist. All right, Nordic going to the for the worker star early. It's a funny little glitch in this game when you go over to this farm and you get a bunch of workers with Nordic. That some of them are really dark colored and some of them are lighter. Here comes Rusviet. Coming into Nordic space here. Or is Rusviet...
where the other mech goes.
I mean, you're sitting on 4 power. Nordic has 3. You got to be cautious here, right? You got to go with your character, I would think.
I mean, I assume just because...
There it is. Oh, that 2 oil and 1 popularity. Or the 2 popularity to gain 4 oil. Can't take the 2 pop for 4 oil. But that 2 oil and a popularity is absolutely brilliant. I mean, that's a free upgrade. Which is just so precious on this patriotic board. To be able to upgrade either your bolster or your move and make those mechs cheaper is just... That's a gift.
For sure.
I mean, I don't know what there's to... What there is to think about here, because you could pay $2 for an upgrade, but why would you do that if you could just take the 2 oil and get the upgrade for free, plus the coin you get for doing it? It's a 3 coin swing.
plus a popularity, which probably doesn't matter, but
Yeah, I mean, with 8 workers, the chance of getting into tier 2 with the patriotic board is low. But, I mean, better to have it. And he does take the... He upgrades the bolster and the deploy. Now we're into Crimea. So this split of workers for Crimea is going to tell us something. Because Crimea is about to move to this encounter and decide where their workers go between this farm and this mountain. And usually a slower game involves more workers on the farm, and a faster game involves more workers on the mountain.
yeah.
Because
Interesting thing is, because trade is on the deploy, if you want to rush the game, you can do almost any number of workers on that mountain.
if you're willing to get an upgrade. Oh my goodness. I'm counting 6 workers, all 8 workers on the farm right now. Maybe he loads a few of them back up. All right, 6-2 split. And here comes the character to the encounter. A little bit of lag there. It looked like he instantly took the 2 food and a pop. So this setup with workers right now, Crimea will get all of the food that they need for the remaining lists off the next produce. And if they only want to make one more mech, they'll have all the metal they need.
Yes, but they will be low on cards now. We are almost certain of that because Polania is not going to enlist, it looks like, other than their one.
Yeah, we may see a...
Rusty gets 4 and 5 turns, but...
So you may have said this earlier, but if Polania trades for wood next time and enlists, that will put them at 4 wood. Another 2 produces, puts them at... Is that 8 wood?
Yeah.
Which is enough for...
the 2 remaining.
Yeah, that's more than they need. So they don't even have to trade for wood, though, do they? Because they just need 6 for the remaining 2 buildings.
No, they don't really need any of the resources. I
mean, maybe
guess...
you trade for food. Set yourself up to do multiple enlists and just keep your options open depending on what the encounters give you. Unless you're really just planning on running a straight economy game as Polania. Because he did not go with the mine. And he does not have submerge, so he's not going for an early factory card. Crimea with a predictable produce right there. Set themselves up for it. So here comes the enlist, right? From Polania.
Nordic has to protect themselves very soon. Because I assume you're not going to get attacked until he has a building out of it, but
Right.
both those mechs can attack you.
Yeah. Polania, though, right now wanting to stack up mechs on that space, probably, right? They're low power. Yeah, they are going to go ahead and trade for 2 food. Give themselves the ability to get a second mech. They pick up a power, which is great for them. Doubles their power, essentially, off that armory. And what do they enlist? Point enlist.
Deploy, right?
Yeah. I think that's the right call. Still got 3 mechs to come out from Nordic, presumably. Crimea only has 1. So we could see a total of 6 mechs out of it.
Plus his 2 remaining.
Alright, Nordic making a move down to this farm. And leaving workers behind.
Doesn't. Hmm.
I mean, maybe they're gonna drop a mech on this farm. Yeah, they drop a mech on the farm, so giving them some protection. Rustfiat at 3 power could win a fight there, but why would they? They're gonna have
Right.
food for days. They don't have a lot of reason or need to disrupt Nordic. Not yet. Nordic on 5 territories winning this game right now. I mean, it's still early, and I feel like Nordic's path to 6 stars right now is a little bit slow and maybe a little bit unconventional. But so far the score is in their favor.
It is true.
Alright, interestingly, Crimea did not use a card there. They're up to 5 of them now, off of Rustfiat and lists. Foundations of the Empire for Crimea. Nice. Could have taken it last turn, maybe forgot. I'm not sure.
I was gonna say, he just had a few turns where he's sitting on it.
Yeah, he did. I don't know why you wait until now, maybe.
It's gotta be moved next turn.
Yes. But not using the card, getting the Riverwalk mech says that maybe. Let's see. Now the submerged mech out of Polania. Maybe you're done with your mechs as Crimea. Certainly possible.
Definitely possible, but you're definitely done with your food either way, so you can get all 6 of those workers.
Mm-hmm. All right, building number 2 out of Nordic here. No one right now looking like they're playing for tier 2, at least not yet. Everyone hovering around 0 to 2 popularity.
Yeah.
All right, Nordic builds the armory. Bonus is farms and tundras.
Honestly, had it been clear that Nordic was going for buildings as well, which, I mean, I guess we should have guessed after the mine, but maybe you would have wanted to go popularity and list over deploy.
Possibly. At 0 popularity, absent a factory card, I'm not sure we see Polania get to tier 2 in this game based on where they're sitting right now. Speed mech out of Rustfiat. Rustfiat now up to 2 enlists. So now I want to see how Crimea moves here. Because you're right, this is the turn, this is moving. Do they come up to this wood space right here outside the base? Do they even attack Nordic? Nordic sitting on 2 power and 1 card, you could do it.
Yeah, and if you want wood, it's there. I mean, Rusty might have something to say about it at that point, I guess, but
All right, they're gonna bring their food with them, and they're gonna sit on this this wood space right here.
okay. So they're definitely going buildings, and they're going safe buildings.
Yeah, what you do here as Crimea is you essentially, in 1 produce, you give yourself enough wood for all 4 of your buildings. Because if those 3 workers produce 3 oil and you turn that into an upgrade, and then you can upgrade either your move, your bolster, your card bolster, But then you've got enough, but it's your last produce. You got one more produce coming as Crimea. You get one upgrade out of it, and then you're done on resources. You're good to go. And then you spread out into Tagawa's territory or into the center of the board. But these are a couple scary turns because look, Polania's got 4 wood on the board. They're due to move, and they're sitting at 0 pop. So why the heck not bump those workers of Crimea's? It hurts them. It does badly. It does very little to slow you down. If your goal is to move to the factory this turn and pick up a factory card, you just use that other move to...
Oh, yeah, they have 3rd mech. Okay.
Yeah, you just use that other move to bump those Crimea workers if you want. That might be what's about to happen. Polania moving the workers off of metal. Moving up to Albion's village and electing to attack Nordic.
Oh, right, they got a metal that way.
Bold move here. That went quickly because we were a little behind on the lag here, but oh gee. Oh look, there's, yep, like you said, there's metal number 3. That was a risky gambit as Polania because he just threw a 2. If he loses that fight, he's a metal short.
Yeah, no, I expected him to leave exactly 1 worker on the mountain in tunnel because he produces in 3 spots anyway due to that mill.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Nordic can just come right back and hit him with 2 units, right?
He can't. No move.
Can Nordic not move? I see Nordic being able to move this turn.
Oh, didn't they just... Oh, no, they produced last turn.
Because you can hit with the character, and then if you want, you can use Seaworthy to bring the mech from the wood tunnel around. But is it worth it for Nordic? I mean, it's going to disrupt the engine that they are wanting to run right now. Let's see. I think Polania, this whole risky gambit was to leave that worker on the tundra so that they could get the build bonus off of it. Polania now in the lead, even after the bids. 10 points ahead of Nordic, who they only need to clear by 8.
And they're potentially getting 2 more stars on their next turn.
Yes. And setting themselves up for the 3rd out of a build star. So this game going well for Polania so far. I think Nordic has to seriously consider whether it may be worth it. But Polania at 3 power in 1 card, you take a risk here as Nordic. Do you go for broke? Are you really gonna throw a power in 2 cards? I mean, Polania has to save 1 power, right? So I think if you're Polania, you throw 2 power here in your best card. That's what Nordic's expecting.
Well, we'll see. Axel might even throw all his power, enlist, get 2 power off.
He does. And it backfires.
Hmm.
He lost his medal. Oh no, the screen lied to me. He did not throw all of his power. It showed the little scaling screen that shows you spending it showed 2 as the max, but he did not spend max power. He left himself 1. Had he spent max power, he would have won the fight. But you are Nordic. You are ripe for a battle about right now. 1 power, no combat cards. Oh, Rustviet, only 1 popularity. Otherwise, I'm sure they'd love to snag a cheap combat off of Nordic with that character right now.
Yeah. Although it's not the biggest deal. Oh wait, no, they took bolster, not move, so they will have trouble getting both combats in one move anyway. Mm.
So now, Polania would have loved to have won that battle, or have not been attacked, either one. Now what do? Do you spend the turn trading? You can't
I mean,
move.
yeah, I assume you trade for a medal, and oh, but you can't enlist that way. Hmm.
Right. Rustviet can
Hmm.
speed up their game if they're willing to pay $4 for a mech. Saves them a turn. But with the bid of 10, I'm not sure they can afford it. I mean, I think you take the 2 oil and the pop again, and this gives you a chance to upgrade your move.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
two oil encounters for Rustviet Patriotic is the dream.
certainly can't complain there.
Move and deploy. Going to see enough metal produced for 3 more mechs. So they will be... Does Rustviet have the... They do not have the power enlist. Otherwise, they would be all set to get the power star with 1 extra bolster. Because they will have to spend 1 power to create their metal, putting them at 6. They're probably not getting another upgrade off of Crimea. Everyone's just leaving Crimea alone. I mean, he's sitting at 22 coins right now, but he's really just his game is about to ramp up. He's going to be spreading here in a minute. Going to be building buildings. Polania got dealt a huge blow losing that fight, both in his ability to produce and deploy his last mech, as well as his ability to pick up his second combat.
Well, you can't move. Yeah, I don't know what Planya does here.
I mean, here's where if you had left the worker on metal and had been content to forego what is essentially just 2 coins off that building bonus, you wouldn't be having to take a trade action right here to get more metal. You can't move that worker to the mountain. Got Polania thinking about this a lot. I don't see a great option for Polania here. Gonna produce. Gonna go ahead and produce, even without being able to create the last mech. Going to 2 stars instead of 3. Still now in a position to start spreading out. No longer ahead of Nordic. Nordic in the bid lead right now by 2 coins. Sitting on the worker star as well as 1 combat star from Polania.
So Polania's next move gives them at least 1 star plus ups their build bonus to 4 and a bit more spread. So they should be ahead at the end of their next turn. I don't know how helpful that is, though.
Rusty is just plugging away. I think we're going to see a build this turn out of Crimea. Crimea could go for the move and list instead and elect to attack Polania for a cheap combat. But they have 2 enlists and no buildings. So the sooner they build a building here, and it looks like that's what they're going to do, is throw out, I'd guess, the monument. We said it's farms and tundras. So there it is, the monument on the tunnel tundra. Probably a nice little bump in points for Crimea. Still trailing the pack. But about to get a significant increase in coins. Because Crimea Engineering has an incredible engine. It just has to be left alone, and so far everybody is leaving it alone. Polania now going for the factory. Round 12. It feels later in the game than that, to be honest.
Okay, so then he's gotta move his other mech, spread those workers, I guess.
Going to go ahead and pick up another cheap combat here.
Oh, Nordic doesn't have any combat cards.
Take that metal back. Does not spread the workers at all. Nordic using Seaworthy. See, you take the metal back as Polania, but now you're sitting on 1 card and no power. So Nordic can just take that metal right back from you and then build a mech.
Not even necessarily, though, because it's 1 card to 1 card. If your card's good, Nordic probably still doesn't win.
You see what card Polania just took?
That mech and its power?
Yeah. They have not turned in an objective yet. For Polania, this game could be over next turn.
That is possible.
Built a mine up on this village too. If Polania has a territory-based objective, like 3 tundras, 3 tundras they could pick up pretty easily. Let's see, what else could they get? They could get 3 mountains.
Probably get diversify.
Oh, they got wood, they've got tundra, they've got village. So they need
farm and mountain, and they have that off a factory move.
Yeah. Mountain and the farm either off of the tunnels using the mine or up here in Albion's territory. Diversify. I think they can get 3 tundras. But yeah, here comes Nordic. Going to probably ruin Northern Advantage if Polania has that. I mean, do you attack the factory here too?
I mean, you're choosing one or the other. If you do, you only have 1 card.
Right. Assuming, I mean, it's possible you win both, I guess. Probably not. If Polania chooses to throw their card and leave themselves exposed. I mean, the other players right now just really have to hope that Polania does not have an objective they can achieve next turn, because no one can, if they do, no one can stop it right now. Rusty, it's turn 12. Rusty Patriotics is still in their base. They needed this game to go longer. Crimea Engineering, they elected to go with a longer build strategy. They just do not have enough coins on the board right now. Right now, Nordic in second place, with Rusviet in third and Crimea bringing up the rear. And Polania in a pretty commanding lead over the other three.
I mean, they'll have 50, 56, 54 at the end of their next turn. 46 after bids.
Yeah, it's not going to... If Polania can finish, I don't think they have to worry about the score at this point. They're going to pick up 3 territories with the factory move. They may lose 1 right here. Nordic perhaps sensing the end of the game, spreading out a little bit. Well, they could have chosen to move that, move an extra space. Nordic goes all out. Wants to build that last mech. Which is absolutely... Those 3 coin right now, absolutely huge for Nordic. Also that star. Did we count Nordic's score out of this too quickly? They're down 8 by Polania, but Polania is still going to cover. They'll lose 2 coins off of using their factory card.
But gain 2 stars and 6 and 3 territories, so they
Right.
net 10.
Yeah, it'll be fine. They'll be fine. The Nordic has made a solid play to put themselves in second. Rusviet cannot clear their 10 bid over Nordic in 1 turn. Crimea would have to clear, what's 8 plus 8, 16 this turn. If Polania can end, Nordic has secured second. Just almost
right.
without doubt.
Nordic's in reasonable shape if Polania can't end.
Yeah, what would Nordic's... Nordic can get another mech.
They got build, move. Oh. So build, move, build doesn't do it.
No, they just have the 2 buildings. This is a much longer game if Polania is not going to end it. Crimea wants to say something about it, though. I mean, why not? Nordic has no... I mean, they have artillery, but they can't use it. They have no combat cards. Crimea gets a free combat and a free 3 points. Crimea maybe now playing for third. I mean, I don't... Nordic won't lose a territory here. Yeah, I don't...
In all cases, I think you just have to play like Polania doesn't have it because you can't stop it, so... And second really doesn't matter at this stage in the tournament.
Yeah. I mean, part of it's how many points you're sitting on. No one really knows exactly how many it's going to take to clear into the next round. But here we go. This is the moment of truth right here. What'd I say? You can do Polania Industrial in 13 turns if it goes right for you.
You did.
And he never got a second encounter, did he?
Nope.
We got the 1 mech off the factory card. Okay, there's a farm. Electing not to go with the mine. There's a mountain. What's our objective? What was it? Did you see it?
No, I did not. But...
What was the objective? Oh, good game. Wow. Did anyone in chat see the objective? That went way too quick for me. I should have slowed it down, but... Right, guys. So we have Polania. I mean, this is the 2nd round in a row where I felt like Axel's bidding was questionable. but the second round in a row where he has made it work and then some. I'm not really sure what that objective could have been.
I mean, diversify is the only one I see.
Oh, does he have
Just
diverse? Does he have
yeah, he's got.
You're probably right then. It was probably diversify. So first place we got Polania sitting on 44 after bids. Next we have Nordic sitting at 34 after bids. We have Crimea with 28 after bids and Rusviet with 26 after bids. Okay, Axel's in chat. He says it was diversify. That's a good eye, Kaz. Well, Kaz, thanks for joining me for this game. Had a lot of fun. And thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you guys next time.